Jen, I'm sorry.
Joe is not on yet. He said he's gonna be on Zoom, but he said he might be a little late. And Debbie is off today, so. And we can go right to. Well, if you want to welcome Lucas, and then right now, out of our audience, only B is here. A and C are not here.
Okay, I see 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay, call the meeting to order for Parks and Rec Commission, Thursday, June 8th. And just before audience citizens, just a couple of things. One is to welcome our new commission member, Lucas. And thank you for joining us. I think you'll have a good time. Everybody here works together along with the staff, and however we can help you, please let us know and ask questions. It's how we all learn, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Second thing is I just want to acknowledge and thank Debbie Dennis, who has 25 years of service with the town, and there was a
28.
luncheon today. That they all had.
She'll hit 28 this year. Yeah.
25, Steve has 20, and Jen has 5. So they were part of the group celebrated today at Timberland, actually. They had their,
Yeah, they let us close all accounts early for 2 hours and did a nice luncheon.
so thanks a lot. 50 years of service between the 3 of them. So that's, says a lot for you guys.
And Dorothy and our audience of citizens, what number were you at?
I'm 9 years, but the
Okay.
5
So 5+.
Okay, great. Cool. All right, so that being said, we can start audience citizens and Carrie Fowler and Jen Roos,
They are not here yet, so we'll
Okay.
straight on to me.
Lisa.
That's all right, we'll go back to this. Guys are on time.
So go ahead. If you'd like to talk about what you're here for and.
Just to reference why Lisa is here, that is this flyer that's in your package for audience and citizens. Are you Carrie and Jen?
Yeah.
Okay, have a seat.
Waiting for work, sorry.
That's okay. We're just gonna go with these guys first and then we'll go back to you guys. So Lisa, they do have this flyer. If you just want to talk about it, talk about what you're looking to do.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law found out he had ALS last year. And like, just started from there.
So could you speak up just a little bit more?
And we got very familiar with the ALS Association. They're helping out my sister's family quite a bit. And he's recently gone down for stem cell research, and it's hugely expensive. So we got together with ALS and they said, do something, raise some money. So I thought maybe if I could run, walk or something like that. So I looked into it for our neighborhood, but the lease waiver was like $3,000. So that was, so then Jen suggested Crystal Creek, and I thought that was a great idea. So we're gonna see if that would be okay.
And my conversations with Lisa, they're not looking to use the clubhouse. They're just looking to park at the parking lot and go across the street and do it all on the trails. They understand that it's public park and we can't close it. They understand there's a leash free area, so there may be dogs around, but it's very similar to the other walk that is happening in October.
It shouldn't take, I mean, I would think 45 minutes to an hour. It's not gonna take that long. I can't imagine more than people.
Not selling any food, charging.
No, so we'll have like food there for, runners, walkers, if they're thirsty. Stu Leonard's is gonna be.
How many people do you think?
So far, only 6 have signed up, so.
Maybe 50 if we're hoping.
Maybe 50,
It's their first year.
I'm hoping that, eventually it could be something big.
Jen, what's the level at what they need police at 125 or?
Typically, if an event is 100 people, I will call the chief and let them know. If this is something that we're looking to support, just like the one in October, it's just a simple email from myself to the chief and the deputy chief, letting them know it's happening and giving them Lisa's contact info. So if they feel there's a need for a police presence, they would contact Lisa directly.
There's nothing else on the calendar for that date.
No, it's a summer, so the only thing that's ever on the calendar is a walk that would be discussed here or the cross-country meets. So. And it's on a Saturday, so it's no worries with parking in summer camp.
I think it's a great cause. I had a dear friend that had it as well, former really all-American football player, and we don't know whether he got it from playing football or not, but we didn't do it in Berlin. We actually did it at, New Britain. Walnut, yeah, and we combined it with the rest of the ALS that was doing it. And it was a great day. And, yeah, I commend you on doing it. And I think, you know, if you could do something like that in our town, that's great because it just brings up the importance of it. It is a terrible disease.
What's great is ALS will come, they'll put up a tent, they'll put up a banner, they'll have people,
Right.
so it'll be like a nice sponsorship.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And it came out so quick. I mean, in October at the Berlin Fair, he started showing symptoms. And here he is in a bed and
He's just a.
he can't move. It's absolutely one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
Anyway,
Okay. Any
I
other
want to
questions
question
from the
that.
commissioners?
Tony asked the same question I was gonna ask.
Okay, so what will happen is for everybody that's here for these citizens is we'll go through our agenda, we'll discuss it, we'll vote on it. Jen would normally let you know tomorrow, you know, one way or the other. And so, okay, and you're welcome, anybody's welcome to stay for the entire meeting and if you wanted to, so. Thank you.
Lisa, can I get your address for the record?
Sure, 212. Everything.
What is it, Beckford?
Everything.
Okay. Okay, so now Carrie Fowler and Jen Ruse just came in. Okay,
Hi.
down there. Okay,
Sorry.
how you doing?
Right. Good, thank you. So this is the first time.
And can I ask you two things?
Yeah.
Who's ever gonna speak or both are gonna speak, if you give your name and address for the record.
And actually, do you guys mind,
Got
like,
it?
just standing up, just so your voices?
Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
So I have Carrie Fowler. Can you give me your address?
296 Spruce Brook Road, Berlin.
And Jen?
Yep, Jen Rudis, 147 Ledge Drive. in Berlin.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, so we are here tonight to ask for approval for a memorial bench to be put in for
Chase Anderson.
who's a dear friend of our son's. And the letter was written by the two of us, as well as Cindy Good, the mother of another, one of Chase's very dear friends. Chase died last year on August 20th, 2022, when he was tragically hit while riding his bike. He was killed. He was going to be a sophomore at Berlin High School. You know, it's really important to us and Chase's family and our children to remember Chase and never have, you know, his memory be lost in town. I know that's one thing that his family is fearful of. He was a wonderful member of the high school. He helped out with the Rise Up program. He was a police cadet in town. And he had a really large impact, larger than life impact on a lot of people.
Yes. And the kids in Berlin High are, you know, this was the first year now that the school year is coming to an end. And we don't have Chase with us, so we thought we did speak to the principal of Berlin High School to get approval to put a bench and a memorial plaque in front of the high school so that the kids could have a little part of Chase with them going into the next 2 years. And we did get that approval, so we sent you a picture
Yeah,
of her.
we talked with them about a good spot for it, and Chase's family felt, we had Chase's family's input on this, felt that it would be nice because one of the important things about Chase, and which is so true, is with you around, no one would ever be alone. So they were asking, you know, thought a good spot for the bench would be near kind of the entranceway to Berlin High. So when kids are waiting to stop or, you know, just have a place to sit, and the plaque would have a beautiful saying that his family came up with. And it was in loving memory of Chase Anderson. Chase is one of the brightest faces here. His positivity, energy, and empathy were radiating. Chase had a huge heart and a contagious smile and laugh. No one would ever be alone with Chase around because he was friends with anyone and everyone. Vital Signs in town said that they'd be able to do the plaque. And we just, we're hoping to do this in memory of Chase and his family and yeah. Sorry. I didn't think I was right. I would think I was right.
So, can I just ask Jen, so this is going, at the high school, is there a reason why we're being asked to approve it? I know.
Because the
it's a-
property around the high school is town property. And it's a donation, so it has to go through somebody. If it was going inside the school, it would be going to Board of Ed, but anything on the grounds of the high school has to go through us.
So any grounds is us first,
For
and then
donations,
it
yes.
goes to the high school or to
No,
Board of Ed?
Then it'll go to the town council. Eileen has already approved it. I have email word that she's approved the
I
location.
was just gonna ask if that's in writing.
Yeah.
We had to go to the high school just to make sure that John Schmoltz and security was okay with where the place was.
Yeah.
Right. In case somebody wanted to push it through a window, and once they gave the blessing, we were okay with it as well. There was a couple areas that were picked on at first that we just didn't think would work because of snow removal. Now we think we can accommodate that.
So you're cool with it?
Yep.
In there?
Yeah, that was-
You're gonna bolt it down.
I mean, it
Is the
weighs
bench-
160, then with the wood, you're probably talking 250 pounds.
I mean, I can shoot the Board of Ed chairman an email just so she's aware, and if she wants to have it at the Board of Ed meeting, we'll just add that to the process. The bench is made by the Parks and Grounds Department, so it's not like you guys are getting the bench next month anyway, because it still has to be made. So what I'll do is I will email the chairperson of the Board of Ed and just let her know that this is typically the process, but does she want insight into it, or since Eileen approved it, is she okay with it?
I think we should get the Board of Ed to approve it as well in writing. And again, with the approval that you've received from the principal, I wouldn't think that would be an issue. But,
Not only the person, but John Smoltz, because I think that's important.
yeah.
Yeah, and John has already approved it.
Yep, John approved.
Through Eileen, yeah.
Yeah, so,
These
So let's
questions
hope
are
it's-
primarily what makes sure you're covered.
Yeah,
Right,
thank
so
you.
it's not that we're trying, we're not banting.
this is kind of, normally, like, I wouldn't have even thought that we would have the sidewalk and
Yeah.
everything. You don't have things that come in front of us for that type of stuff.
You saw where they want to focus, right?
Yes, yeah,
Painter's bench came in front.
I'm sorry,
Mrs. Painter's bench came in front of us.
Yep.
That's right along the school
Yeah.
entrance as well.
so, and you use mahogany wood for the bench?
Theirs will be mahogany. Yes. All benches moving forward,
Okay,
excuse me, memorialized will be mahogany.
and the $400 will cover the cost?
Close. Inflation.
It's a price we look at every year.
Is that, that's what we would charge anyone, I'll say.
As of right now, yes, that's unless we look at it at the end of the year and look if it's gonna need to be. It was $250 a couple of years ago.
Might be coming up with a set price for all donations, like doing this.
Okay, any other questions or comments or? Well, thank you very much, and, obviously it was a tragedy and, but, very thankful to you guys to move forward and have some type of remembrance for us.
Good for you for doing
Thank you very much. And Jen, I know you've been communicating with
I can
Cindy.
communicate, yeah,
Yeah,
I'll see
so-
Cindy tomorrow morning and I'll fill her in and keep her updated and she'll keep you guys updated.
Thank you.
it. Thank you.
Thanks, yeah. Okay, next is Cheryl Brown and Forward Advocacy.
That would be nice.
Can you just give your address too for the record?
99 Whispering River Drive. What can we do? I have to take it to that the post office says it's road, and therefore so does the world. 17 years I've been getting the post office to change it. That's not what I'm here for. But I'll tell you, after listening to these two, we recently held an event. And on the back of the rental form, we were targeting and marketing our whole event as a waiting room. But they replaced the carpets and we didn't have it.
So the Laney room is in the library. For
That
those
was
that
very sorry.
didn't know.
So we had to go downstairs to the community center to get a room for our events and we were our people, which is fine. Worked out great. But on the back of the form, it was pointed out to me that you can ask for a waiver of the fee, which I don't remember what the fee was, it was $25 or $50. It was kind of money. So, after listening to these guys, it's like, I'd rather, you could waive the fee and then donate it to one of them. So,
We can't do that as a town.
I
I appreciate you gesture, Dorothy understands the town. It doesn't work like that,
Right.
but,
Oh, I filled out the form because somebody said, don't fill out the form, and I'm here because they said you filled out the form, you're coming to me. Hi.
Can you explain a little bit about, because fee waivers are gone by what kind of service they provide to the residents of Berlin, so a little background as to what your organization does?
Family Forward Advocacy. And it's my company. Got together in 2016, incorporated in 2018, and went nonprofit last year. Because after 6 years, we found that we can't make any money doing what we do. We both adopted special needs children. And found out that the level of which children can be traumatized was beyond our original understanding. So after getting a massive education into what attachment dysfunction and complex post-traumatic stress disorder children go through and what their families through. We opened this company and we work with doctors and lawyers and we advocate for individual families who are trying to raise children that threaten them, beat them up, hurt themselves, are full of suicidal ideation. And I was blessed enough to adopt a sibling group of 3, all with the same diagnosis. And I can tell you that I was on a first name basis with most of the opposite. All of the special ed people at all of the schools, including the college where one of my children went special ed. So we bring awareness to the public by holding parent resiliency workshops in different communities as funded by community foundations. And the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain funded, and I'm sorry, I'm doing calisthenics with my granddaughter while I'm talking, sorry, honey. This is Sophia. So we come in, what our workshop is, we bring in a doctor of psychology who explains the science of the brain and actually what happens to a child's brain with attachment disruption and trauma that happens either in utero or in the first 3 years of their life. Then we have a lived experience parent like myself, give a testimony. And then we have an attorney that talks to the families about the truth of the child serving systems in the state of Connecticut if you have special needs children. And that's to bring awareness to families, not just families, but people that live in the town or maybe have a neighbor that's shockingly their 8-year-old just beat them up. These had to come and they had to go to the hospital. We don't really understand what's going on in their house. So for me and my children, we were put together by DCF. They made us a family. And then spent many years investigating us and trying to take us back to court. Because on paper we didn't look at them with all the ER visits and the hospitalizations and the doctors. So 16 unsubstantiated investigations is a lot of time when these get back to the table. And 6 custody care court cases is 12 years of having an attorney on retainer. And I'm not alone. And that's our big message, is you're not alone to all the families that are hiding out there because of what's going on. And when you look at the repeat visitors, which is a big problem, we sit on a couple of work groups with the commissioner of DCF, my company does. And these are the repeat people that are draining our resources in the ERs and in the inpatient units. And we're trying to train our police officers on how to deal with them when they're called into these domestic situations. In the state of Connecticut, we have robust child service systems, but they don't.
So, your nonprofit are you a 501c3? And for this meeting that you hold in Berlin, is it to gear towards Berlin parents? Somehow you advertise or let people know it's
Yes, we have.
Berlin parents.
Martin extensively approved by the superintendent of schools, went to all the schools, all the social workers, school psychologists, newspapers, everyone that touches children that are trying to support these families in a come alongside way. We marked it to this series that we just did. At the end of it, we said, okay, Shane, next time we're going to do a parent model and a professional model, because we had a lot of agencies show up and ask us to come in and train their people with what we're talking.
How many people did you have at the one in Berlin?
8, not very many. So it's difficult to gauge, if you know, to get funky, but the psychology of getting people interested in something. They have to see it 7 times advertised somewhere in order to get in. So we knew that the spring would be one way and the fall would be another way. We're planning on holding 4 more.
So you need this room 4 times.
No, they just needed it once, it's already over with. So
Yeah,
it's
you
it's a
have
late
to-
request, it's a late request.
The Community Foundation of Greater New Britain. Yeah, it's late request because of the domain ring library.
Yeah.
company.
So how much it may get charged?
A lot,
It was $25.
not a lot. That's
So
why I was sitting here with all the.
Right, so there's no future dates that you need.
You're not yet. The Community Foundation of Greater New Britain that's supporting our workshops. Is located in 4 towns, Plainville, New Britain, Stubbs, and Berlin. So we do one in each of their 4 towns.
And if I could ask, so their funds, what do you use those funds for? Are the attorneys? Do you have to pay the attorneys to come to these meetings?
And the doctor, the attorney, the presenter, pay room charges if we have any, we provide like refreshments and some of our advertising.
So Jen, is this more difficult to get a refund versus an advance waiver request? Or is it the same thing?
No, giving a refund is no problem at all. She's already paid, waiting to see if it's a waiver and it gets approved by you guys in town council. Then it would just be a simple refund.
So does it meet this criteria that
You know,
on
which
the
one?
form? I mean,
On this,
You know,
on
in this
this
form. of the
form, I
values.
don't believe it does meet the criteria.
doesn't. According to this form.
Well, what's the national or state affiliated programs for local youth? I mean, I don't
It's
know.
like Berlin Youth Soccer, or Berlin Little League.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
I'm parents, not children. I mean,
But
it's
this
all about.
comes- right, this nonprofit organization, you're representing them coming in, asking for the waiver. So the Community Fund of New Britain, because I'm familiar with it, you know, they get funds from the state as well. And then they give out grants to all these organizations that provide various services throughout those towns that you mentioned. So why, and again, I'm just trying to, you know, why isn't it the state affiliated program? Or nonprofits which have contributed substantially to the community, and again, that's, yeah, maybe that's the one.
I mean,
We're kind of looking back,
Right.
if it's geared toward Berlin and they get, the Community Fund of New Britain, do they get involved in making sure that you're doing things for the community? It's kind of crazy, we're spending this time on
We're
doing
getting
it
around
around
those back before they.
yeah, I'll pay the $25.
I know, it's
box. Because we, you know, so, I mean, that's the way I would look at it. I think maybe that's the one down to,
Yeah, I think so as well. I think so as well. I mean,
how many people attended? From, mainly from Berlin or?
Yeah, and I met a lot of neighbor.
So your organization does raise funds,
They get a grant.
right.
but that's what you guys are saying, which have contributed substantially to
So
the
maybe we need
community,
to
but it
change the
starts
form to say other,
raise
and we
funds.
can put a line there that says, because this is nuts, we're spending this much time on
I know.
$25.
If
when-
you guys have feedback on the form and you wanna put something written, I'd just gladly bring it to
I think you
them.
need to put out there and have someone explain it, because at the end of the day,
I know that Arosh looks at these and he has said no to ones that have come through the commission. Or you guys have said no because it doesn't meet the requirement, so I just,
So then I
If
think
it's
we just
something
take a
that-
box, let him-
if
Right,
it's,
I didn't
but
get
if it's something that you guys are putting through and you're checking a box. I would need to know why you're checking that box, because then I need to go to Arosh and defend why that's the one that the commission picks. Because otherwise, because he's gonna say at it and then, well, hold on, they raised funds.
Providing a good service that's being used by residents of Berlin.
I mean, they
So
went
with
through the
Bob.
school system, they went through, you work with the police departments, you're trying to educate the community so that
We're gonna make our own
Those-
box.
That's fine, as long as you guys give me something in writing that I can then bring to a Roche.
Okay, so nationally or state affiliated program provides programs for local.
Sounds like.
I mean, we can vote on it later, so.
Yeah, we can vote on it.
I think there has to be some other, I mean, not everybody raises funds, they're nonprofit, they get grants, they're trying to do something.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, I'm just the one that has to bring this.
No,
to the
I understand. We don't
Your way
want
to
to put you in the
defend it,
predicament.
yeah.
No, we don't want to.
Bring it to them after lunch.
I have to say, Cheryl, what you're doing is awesome. I mean, I substitute teach in some of the schools for 3 months this year, and I was I worked with a lot of children that had disabilities, and I can't believe how much I learned from kindergartners to high schools. From those students. Yeah, it's amazing. You get attached, and I can just imagine how attached you become to the children and to the program. And I can understand your passion. So congratulations.
Well, thank you for letting me give you my.
After she gets some exercises.
Oh, nice.
She gets some exercise.
It's Luke's first meeting, he's giving COVID.
He said precedent, you better start bringing them all the time now.
I just want to add that I can help you refine your form. Maybe a nonprofit box. With how it's.
Yeah, I just wrote something, I just run it by
I
you, but
also could not getting a free, just to let you know. So I came in because I followed the track of what I started.
That's fine. I'm glad you did. You learned something.
Thank you.
yeah, thanks very much,
Thanks a lot.
appreciate it. Jen, Jen,
Have a great evening.
Have a good night.
Thanks for coming.
Say bye, Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
okay, anyone else for audience citizens? Yes.
Hold on.
Secretary.
Can you spell your first name, spell your last name
ADRIANCRUZ,
and address?
280 Middletown Road.
Thank you. Do you mind standing just so your voice goes out more?
Thanks, Ian.
So we moved here back in August of this past year, from North Haven. Throughout the summer in North Haven, we have on the green almost every week a community event. So anybody comes up.
Yeah.
So every weekday they have a concert or they have a movie night for the kids. And people in the community come out, either offer vending services, food, ice cream, popcorn, services, whatever you can imagine. Every single week for the kids. So my kid being 9 and 10, we're gonna have the same thing here. So of course, look at that. I think it'd be good for the community for a couple of different reasons. PTA, as I know, is always looking for revenue and resources. There's plenty of people in town, because our kids play sports here, we see sponsors everywhere for their jerseys. Have something in town for them to do that. I'm not sure if there's a town here or not, I haven't seen it. I know there's Sage Park, there's a break with some areas you can offer space at no cost. Have someone come play music, an outdoor movie, I can provide a projector if you want one. I'm not sure what avenue you want to get started. So that's my first question. Second question is, might also help with you as well, is also in North Haven in the area and Guilford as well, we have Cars and Coffee every other week. And most times Cars and Coffee offer some sort of sponsorship or some reason to be there. Be it ALS, diabetes, Alzheimer's walks, as a way to generate revenue donations for the organizations. So we did that in Berlin, I think we really well. I went to the Mustang one. Cover Free parking lot, that was huge. That's a big parking lot. Something like that could also help the organization, what's getting that out there and getting the donations. And that's good for kids to walk around, some nice park. Not sure where to start or where do you reach out to get that rolling. I can reach out to North Haven Town Hall. They have a old utility trailer that uses a stage. Generator for power. So there's a number of plots in it. You know, over 100 people in the officers. They think right up to the time.
Thank you for taking the challenge of showing up.
Yeah.
We were wondering if something was gonna.
I'll show
Some of the comments, and, you know, we do peruse, obviously, Berlin Buzz, Berlin Talks, other things that we might see, so we did see the comments, we've actually discussed it a number of times. And I guess years ago, and Debbie's not on, right?
No, Debbie's off.
Yeah, Debbie Dennis, Director of Parks and Rec, is back at the community center. They close at 7 or 8, I guess, or whatever, but we did have bands and, you know, some kind of concerts and things like that. Then it started fading out, and then it cost money. And unfortunately, or depending on what side of the aisle you're on, fortunately, money wasn't available for those types of events. People lost interest, whatever, you know, but no one really pushed for those in the past. And I know that there is a sense amongst some commissioners and, you know, that we would like to see something in the future. So it's nice to see those types of comments. And if you can, encourage people to come to our meetings, because that's really the way it gets on the record. And we could work with the council. We are a recommending commission only. Commissions are, because we're not voted by the voters of Berlin, but we're appointed. So we could recommend things be done, and again, we work with staff to make sure that it's something that can be doable with the funds that we have or the people that they have. And if not, then we need to go to council and ask for more funds.
I guess my question is, the cost of using the funds, is the record provided a space? Today, you guys have this part, and these certain times throughout the week, and then a week where I think that's fine. Let me worry about organizing revenue, let me organize the event, people to be there. Don't worry about the cost. I mean, there's plenty of people in town and businesses in town. They're like, hey, donate the service for ad revenues, because if the entire town going to your event, have your piece of pizza, or have your sense of whatever it may be. And that's easy marketing for that. And it's in space that people have to actually miss it.
So you just learned how the process works. You saw the people come in, they asked for dates, they asked for fee waivers, you know, so you know, now you know the process.
Right.
But I'm really glad that you came, because that set off Donnie that for about another 45 minutes. Where he was sending me
Yep.
every single concert series from Southington, Plainville, Brighton, which I was then printing off, looking at. But at the bottom of each one were all the sponsors.
Right.
You know, yes, maybe they're some organization for Parks and Rec, but mostly it's done by other individuals.
Right.
I don't know if you read the comments further, somebody from Meredith kind of did and said that she would be willing to help, but
Yeah, Carrie.
the way that they said,
Meredith.
you know.
Actually, there's kind of what you're saying. I
I
just
just
need
need
to.
help me too. You know, I mean, so
If I can give just a little bit of background, a little add on to Donna, right? Because I moved to town back in late '80s from Plainville. And there used to be, what Donna mentioned. What I think ended up happening here is New Britain, I don't know if you've been to their concerts. Yeah, they're huge. So what ended up
they
happening,
have a beautiful
Yeah.
venue that's set up there.
Right, they have a shell.
With a shell, they have a stage. You go there and listen to music, it's.
yeah,
Sounds.
it sounds, so what ended up happening was, as Donna mentioned, people started to lose interest. The numbers dwindled because everybody was going to New Britain. If you go to New Britain on those nights and they play twice a week, you'll see so many people from Berlin listening to it. So that was one of the other reasons. I'm sure cost definitely is not a set, but a lot of people went there, right? So there was, I'm not saying that wouldn't change, reverse if we had something here, but I just think based on because I've been going there for a number of years now. It's pretty hard.
I guess, just from, as an outsider coming in, coming from North here, the green is very small.
Been
It's very small,
Yeah.
right? So.
there. I missed the Italian guy there, Lee, by the way.
Yeah, but that entire green being very small and no parking, it's packed. There's a draw of the community. Now, so just moving here back in the summertime, we didn't know the Berlin Fair was until we actually. And So the poll for a community event here, but there's nothing to do besides Berlin Fair. You know, there's nothing that's going on besides the Berlin Fair that I've seen. You know, kids play soccer, they play basketball, there's also small draws.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of parks and fields that you can just utilize. For it. It's already there, it's already paid for by taxpayers. No one's asking for power, and you say you can come by sponsorships. And then there's plenty of open space for businesses here that aren't being utilized. So if you have individuals who have business here already, that need more business, need more advertising, it's free advertising for them. They increase their revenue, they increase the money they spend here, that's more businesses. It's a good thing. But if there's no engagement other than playing on Facebook, nothing's gonna change.
That's my.
Yes, excellent points. You're bringing up excellent points.
Yes. But that's why I said, yeah.
Yeah, Jim and I, we were very, we did not purpose to see that. I'm not saying anybody in this room, but as far as community, someone wants to have that. Find no waste my small amount of that available from my family, do something. Don't that job. But I think that there's a lot of opportunity that does get. Beautiful town, we chose to move here, so there's 70,000 employees in the building. There's some communities. More work is to do besides the sports people. She has something that he looks to on a regular basis.
So just so I'm clear though, Richard, so your role, like in coordinating all this is what, like?
There's no role for me yet. Jen and I kind of feel out there that we want to move forward. Not for our family, we way outside of our house. But just, you know, get some community involvement. I know that the PTA always needs us. I'm friends with the fire department, East Berlin, to volunteer there. And that was a volunteer fire department, that just, you know, if you have, you know, Sage Park Car Show, that's good. Money coming in. If you have something that, part of the movie night or concert, that's money for the PTA. Get involved and have these opportunities, utilize this town. And I don't see it.
So, right. So there is work behind the scenes, and again, I can't tell you how many times I've talked about doing things. Pistol Creek is a beautiful facility for us to do things. The back, we've got a deck. I mean, it used to be a golf course, it's just a beautiful venue, that's where we had some previous concerts. People could come out, have a picnic with their families, you could do a movie night. Like, my daughter is living with me and their 2 kids right now, and, you know, I asked them, I said, so your age group with 2 little kids, what would you want to see the towns do? They said, well, they came from Utah, we are movie nights. And then Craig, my son-in-law, said, yeah, and if we were younger or older, like you, Donna. You know, bands. And, you know, and that's true, so it's kind of both sides, but there's work to be done, and that's what we all have to work with staff. Is to make sure that we could get the staff or get the funds to hire companies or whatever to set up things and, you know, trash and all this, there really is a lot that goes into it. And I would just tell you with the current budget,
And the
town-
and the current
everybody
staffing,
has to know this.
and the
town
current
side
staffing, I
has
think that's
no
important to know too.
increase, Flat, 0 increase in the dollars that we have.
So I
That's
guess
a
my,
downside.
to kind of echo off that, eliminate cost per month. Trying to find a way to make it zero cost. Zero cost effect, and people who are in town businesses, they have to pay for marketing, that's not cheap. Ad revenue on radio, that's not cheap. Flyers and people mailboxes, that's not cheap.
Yeah.
Runs online, so we can do that, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
If we can somehow, even if I have to spare it myself, go to every town, every business in town, say, here's an opportunity for free marketing. But you feed your own area, if you got staff who wants to volunteer, you know, put it out to where people want to be involved with people. You know,
Yeah,
like I
no,
said earlier, complain that there's nothing to do.
The revenue would go towards supplementing the costs for the staff to run this or whatever, you know.
Well, I wouldn't even need any staff to run it.
Well, that's, yeah, I think that's what he's making the point. I think Tony made a great point. You've sat here, you've learned what the process is. They wanted to do a run at Pistol Creek. They called me, they found out, is there a fee to do Pistol Creek? What do we need to do? They first went to the PD to try and do it in their neighborhood. I think find your location, find your date, find, are you gonna get a band for that? How are you gonna get the businesses? And come back to the commission with sort of a plan for the event. You can always ask me if you're wanting to use one of the fields, you call me and see when it's available, because, we have youth sports going on, high school sports and everything, and I think you come up with a plan, like Tony said, go through the process and see where it takes us.
Proposal, I just need to know where to start. And do the process, and see what areas. you need to be involved in.
I mean, they used to be at Veterans Park, right?
I'm sorry?
They used to be at Veterans Park, right, back in the day when we did it?
Yeah, well, we have
So I
that
think
part
your
too.
next step is possibly go to the Veterans Commission.
There's a section, and actually someone posted that on Berlin Buzz, there's a section of the Steel Boulevard. It looks fairly small. I don't know what it's gonna be, but that's, down the road in the future, they're gonna put a little band area or amphitheater, but it's extremely small. So I don't know if that's gonna be for local residents, or that's responsible.
Yeah.
I mean, he's seen the ones with it, it's a old utility trailer, maybe 50 yards.
And they keep it there the whole summer.
Yeah,
They keep the trailer right there the whole summer.
No.
Green's behind Starbucks.
I don't know what that is.
Berlin
So
Fairgrounds.
so just.
Lions
just
Club,
to add
yeah,
to-
conversation with the Lions. They might be all on board on it and help with
Something
it.
about the fairgrounds is. The fairgrounds are not owned by the town.
Oh, yeah.
They're owned by the Lions
That's
Club, it's
right.
private, and so you have to ask them for permission to rent it. And people do all the time, they're always dealing with it. And they even posted that.
It's a very well-known area in town. It's a lot of space.
But there's a lot of other activities that go on there, so there's a schedule. And there's a lot of restrictions. So, and something. It's a big project.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I will be in touch with you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Do you need an updated flyer?
That's what we have.
I didn't change.
This.
So
I just need to go look.
this one thing to think.
No, you gave me, this one's
Steve,
with your trails.
This one thing I was.
Oh, yeah.
trying to
Okay. I just.
think about Is that it's
You
gonna
wanna
be
give me
really
one for me to
difficult,
feel
at
better?
least in my mind, not to have someone from the town. Being involved with something, and I'm looking more at you because all the venues that I go to, there is someone. Even in Plainville, there's someone from the town that when it's all said and done, they kind of do a quick cleanup.
So we've never really done that. We've never even implemented that.
Okay.
And if you look at the 24-hour breast cancer walk or the
Yep.
cancer walk that used to happen, a Relay for Life, it was
Yep.
called
Yep.
at the high school.
Sure.
We didn't man
You
that.
did, okay,
When they're gonna do the ALS walk, we don't man that.
Okay.
We're not mandated to man anything.
got it. Well, that's why I want to ask that question.
He wanted to use the bathrooms.
Yeah.
And wanted to unlock the bathroom, say we use the front of Sage Park.
Yeah.
And he wanted to use the restrooms. Then at that time, he would come for a fee waiver to utilize the bathrooms.
Yeah. Got it.
Which
So,
would be a
okay.
staff on site the
Right,
entire event.
right. Well, I mean, how could, I mean, you have,
There's the police that get involved, there's waivers for the police services.
I'm sure Lions has their own fees and their own process.
I'm just bringing it up because as he talked, he was trying to do this at no cost, anyway, right? I think that's gonna be, I'm not trying to be a naysayer, I'm just trying to
No, I
give him
agree,
a
right.
perspective, because to your point, you can't have a venue of some sort like that where you're gonna be playing music for an hour and a half, 2 hours, that you don't have a restaurant.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
I think this is a very positive thing, and I think we all have to come together as a committee and a group and try to get something up and running. I think it's tremendous.
Yeah. So anyways, I just didn't want you to walk away just thinking.
Yeah, there's no-
If I was gonna be on the sponsor, well, I think it may be on the sponsor, but there may need to have someone kind of involved with something. I just don't know what that's something.
For the other
But-
towns, does anybody really know how these other towns really do it? Because you'll see,
Yeah,
Parks and Rec, we've written Parks and Rec, right?
well,
Newington runs
And
their
then
own,
you have-
Newington Parks and Rec runs all their own events.
And Milford is run by a group of volunteers.
New Britain does it from Parks and Rec.
Meriden is run by a group of volunteers.
Plainville does Park and Rec.
Meriden all volunteer, Meriden town, does the town provide any services other than
I'm
waivers?
not 100% positive.
No,
Meriden
same.
does it on the green and it's spearheaded by, we have a very small group of very dedicated volunteers in Meriden that do a ton of stuff that don't involve Meriden Parks and Rec at all.
When I say Newington Park and Rec, I mean Newington Park and Recreation Commission is the ones that do the beer and wine tasting, they do everything, and that, the revenue for everything that comes in is then
Well,
displayed.
yeah,
A lot of their special events are actually run by the commission.
I'm pretty sure it's the same thing.
It's the commission, not-
Yeah,
Right, not the employees, the commission.
the commission.
But like you
Because we
just
do
brought
have
up, if you're gonna have an event at Sage Park, there's all these new porta potty companies that are popping up, that they wanna roll out these trailers. Why would they not wanna roll a trailer in for a weekend or a couple hours for free?
Marketing is eyes on the product, so. If I can provide them with space to have eyes on my product, 1,000 people or 100 people. It's something that I don't pay for, but I'm putting it there.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Berlin.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
welcome to Berlin.
Welcome to
Thank you
Berlin.
very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
any more ideas?
Yeah.
I wish I was Tony.
Yeah, you have his business card now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great, well, thank-
Is there anyone online that's for audience citizens?
No, just, Ally is back. Ally
Nice.
came back to work on Monday. I don't know if she's actually listening right
Welcome
now,
back,
but,
Welcome back.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
and the other one is Tiff. Tiff, got caught in Massachusetts and stuck on the phone while she's listening, so.
Okay, so we'll close audience citizens.
You guys miss me?
What?
Sorry,
I said, you guys miss me?
Yes,
Yes, Tiff.
Especially,
okay, approval of minutes from Malin. Luke, you weren't here, so we'll ask you not to vote on this, obviously, so. But we, let's see.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, consent agenda, let's,
Donna, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
okay,
Or cookies, anyone?
all good, thanks.
I think you just found something Greg started, dude. Maybe that's a great project.
Yeah.
What's that?
And that's, I think it's important to notice that, like Steve said, Newington it's the commission. I mean, Newington has 5 or 6 staff. North Haven has 4 or 5 staff. Debbie's 1. Like, she doesn't have an assistant director. She doesn't have a recreation supervisor. You know, so it can't just fall all on the department.
The Department of Recreation,
Yeah.
that's just Debbie.
Debbie's the superintendent of recreation. Ally, who's
Ally.
online, is her secretary, but she's also half Steve's secretary.
Okay.
And then we have, part-timers throughout, this, like in the summer, right now, we have an aquatics director on staff who's part-time and a summer program person, but throughout the year, it's mostly, my office happens to be there, but I also oversee 4 different departments.
And I work for DPW, but the fields are under my responsibility, fields and parks. That's
Okay.
why I'm here.
Okay. What kind of staff do you have?
9 full-time employees and 5 part-time employees, college kids for the summer.
And that's for DPW and,
That's for all of the grounds, open space, passive recreation, pools, playing fields, 26 remote town buildings, 77 acres of an abandoned golf course. Take those on.
oh, Crystal Creek.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time there, actually.
Okay, Don's back, so consent agenda, let's just do one at a time, motion on A. Tony,
Make a motion to accept consent agenda item.
okay, second,
Second, yeah.
okay? Discussion,
Great idea.
any discussion on that one?
That was a great
Both
idea.
of you are supportive of that, obviously.
Yeah, their first location that came to Steve and I, we kind of had a thought and went back to them and said, we really don't feel comfortable bringing this to the commission until you talk to the principal at the high school and Schmaltz to really make sure, and they changed their location. So we're supportive of this new second location.
Yeah, you know,
Like I said, if you want to accept it with the thought of me reaching out to the Board of Ed chairperson, and then she can decide if she needs to bring it to the Board of Ed for a vote. If she says Eileen has approved it, Schmaltz has approved it, commission has approved it, I'm fine with it going to council, then we'll take it to council.
I just never realized that we're responsible for the outside of, outside of the field areas, but
It's because ground, so it's tricky because grounds maintains much more than the commission oversees. But because ground maintains the area outside of the school, we feel, I mean, it was always that we should have a say in it because he's the one that has to mow around it. He's the one that has to snowplow around it.
it's weird, but
The school has no,
How do I say this?
here's the school, anything outside, everything from the brick walls in belongs to the
Yeah.
Board of Ed. Anything from the brick walls out is maintained, paid for. Manicured, whatever has to happen is done by the Parks and Grounds Department.
so they have a problem with the way the sidewalks, this area is shoveled in the winter time. They complain to us,
We're responsible for every
No,
piece of.
They complain to Steve.
Right.
yeah, but then they could come to us and complain because we oversee it.
No,
They would
because,
go to DPW.
yeah,
Okay, so that's where I'm just, here we're talking about a bench going on their grounds, I don't know, but
I think it was more,
so my feeling is Board of Ed should definitely bless this in writing. Assuming we approve it, they should bless it in writing. That's what I personally would like to see. And I'm sure they will.
I thought it should be both down, just because so.
Right, so we have a motion on the floor to accept it as,
I agree with that.
you agree with Lucas?
Well,
you
because
have
you know why?
thoughts on that?
Because you were talking about at the pool. About the bench.
Yeah.
Outside going over
Over
the
the,
fence.
right. Right, but there's a lot of differences about a pool in the front of the school. There is no way, there is no way to bolt one of these benches. If we're looking to get a bolted bench, I think the last one we bought was $1,200 or $1,300. They
Just
screw it.
just make a hole right in the feet, cement on a hole.
Right.
Put a hole right to the bottom of the bench.
You're gonna.
Yeah.
Put a piece of rebar up, so you're gonna count it.
Rebar, just a screw. Hole.
What would you screw it to?
Yeah, like you're doing, yeah, exactly, just like that.
I'm not handy though, so.
Oh,
that's-
Can't do it either, I got our twins.
The method you're talking won't work.
Okay.
so we
And
have
could
a
I just-
motion to
so-
accept A as is. Personally, I would like to see it be with the Board of, Board of Education approving it after us.
Let's slow it down.
Okay, so,
Don't vote it down because then you have to,
right, we have to amend it.
yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So all in favor of A without the Board of Ed approval, say aye.
I mean, you can.
Hearing none. Okay, does not pass. Tony, can you modify your,
Like to approve consent agenda item A. And add the stipulation that it must be approved in writing by the Board of Education.
okay, seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item B. Someone want to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to accept consent agenda item B.
Second.
Luke, you want a second?
Greg
Let's
just
get
did.
your name in there,
Greg seconded it.
okay? Any discussion on waiving the fee or providing a reimbursement? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye,
Can you just explain to me
sure.
what box you're checking and why? Because I will need to have that answer. If you want to email me, that's fine.
They are approving it based on the fact that it's a nonprofit organization and they're providing a service to
Town member.
substantial contribution to the community from an education perspective on how to handle children with
It's all people with special needs.
all people with
We
special.
want to use the word handle, we want to use.
Whatever.
So,
You can wordsmith it. I'm just trying to give you a sense.
so
for it.
let me just start.
Okay, go ahead.
I think there should be an extra box on this
I agree.
that says nonprofit that works with or establishes relationships for various groups within the community of Berlin.
Can you email me that? Or let me copy it?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'll do. I'll make
I'll
the
send-
argument that they would like to add this box. They would like it to be a permanent box, but for now, we would like to add it and approve this waiver. And then if you'd like more information, he can come back to us or.
And again, Jen, so they are affiliated, state affiliated program because they get their funding from Community Fund of the Britain. They get their grants from the state. They also get it from other places.
Right.
But they get a good portion. The only problem is, it's not just for local youth,
Local use, right?
because, but. you
And
know,
they themselves are not the nation or state, national or state affiliation. We're,
But
they're
but
part, they
they're
work with one,
affiliated
but they're
because
not
They
one.
get their funding, right? And again, they're working with the schools, the police department. It is a much needed service, so
And
I'll send you the wording.
Okay,
that's
that'd be
badge
great.
on your form is from 2011.
Right, exactly. I want to.
Question.
Sure.
Why, what was the difference if they got the Delaney room? So they weren't able to use the Delaney room, so they had to come downstairs.
So when they filled out the application for the Delaney room, they were never told that there was a fee waiver possibility. Whereas at the community center, it is part of our application process because we feel anyone that rents a room and has to has to pay a fee should know that there is a process in the town of Berlin that if you'd like to apply a fee waiver, you can. It's not part of the library application process. She didn't even know it existed. She was originally booked at the library, but doing the carpeting, she had to come book the community center last minute. When she saw this, she's like, oh, what is this? And I explained how in Berlin, anyone who has to pay a fee had the option to apply for a fee waiver. I explained that not all are approved, you have to meet certain circumstances and everything, but that's why it came here.
So they have to pay a fee for the room upstairs? So, right?
In the library, yes, there was a fee to use the room. And Arosh is stressing that he's not going to be accepting fee waivers late anymore. However, this is a special circumstance. I've already know how to argue that point because it was moved because the carpeting got away.
Yes, good.
But moving forward, just in case it does hit you guys eventually, if someone comes to me with a fee waiver for an event that's already passed, or they're trying to, hey, I have an event on Saturday, can I apply for a fee waiver? The answer will be no, because Arosh has asked that we don't bring them late anymore.
Okay, so we have the motion, we've had discussion. Any further questions?
It was already approved.
Okay,
You guys already voted on it.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Item C.
Question.
Yeah, wait a minute. Luke, you wanna make the motion to accept and you can just read what's in item C.
Request by Berlin High School Booster Association to hang pretend banners for that one. 2023.
That's good.
124 school year at Sage Park.
There are attachments here if you haven't gone through the packet. You're gonna second, okay? Any discussion, questions to the author? Did you have?
Lot of concerns with this, a lot of concerns,
All right,
it's fine.
hearing none? Nice packet, Tony, put it together, thank you. Following things.
Last night, they'll be doing it.
That's right, the last time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tiff, remember Tony abstains from this one.
We know.
I know, I just want to make sure she knows.
Hey, is Jenna, her daughter? Yeah. She's a great lad. Good kid. So I answered that. Sorry.
Okay, Park and Rec.
The
Sorry.
people that came for the 5K walk, we don't have to do anything. with
We
that?
don't have to vote because we're not giving them permission. It's a public park. Ideally, you, just like the other one, we didn't actually vote on. It's just a conversation whether or not you guys support it or not.
So that, with all that, right, it's kind of an organized walk, right? It's
Right.
just amazing that we don't have to, I know what you're saying, because, but
So they just go there, do their thing, they don't bother us, we don't bother them.
Pretty much.
Yep. Well put.
It's happened before and.
if they
had
never
issues.
notified you, that would be okay too,
Public park, yeah.
unless they were.
People
Also-
can go have a birthday party on the Pistol Creek back deck. Yes, we have a rental fee for it, but it's a public park. If they do it on a Sunday, nobody knows, nobody knows. I mean, the trails, there's no rental fees, there's no, you know, there's no regulations that they have to follow. It's not like they're asking us to put extra porta potties there or anything. It's, they're self-organizing it.
Is that entire course part of Berlin?
There's no, go ahead.
So across from the clubhouse, all the trails there that are paved and it's very flat, that's owned by the town of Berlin. And then now behind the clubhouse, all of them behind the clubhouse to the horse alpaca farm right there, that's all the town of Berlin. Then once you go across the street on Atkins, down the hill, all of that except for 5 acres on the northwest side belong to Middletown and Middlefield.
Just looking up, okay, so Parks and Rec report, wanna,
Yeah, I mean, she submitted a report. If you guys have any questions, I can try to answer them. If not, we can ask her next week. She is crazy busy getting ready for summer camp, which starts on the 20th. And the pools are scheduled to open June 17th. I believe they passed inspection today.
Yes, they did.
Yes. So
Did the East Berlin pool get opened or not?
East Berlin Pool is not opening this year. And I will be honest, of all the people that have been coming in for pool passes and registering for swim lessons, the few that have asked, and we have explained why, it's, no one is angry, no one is screaming at us, it's been really good.
Except for the people on
Reception.
social media.
Exactly, but the people we actually deal with in person, it's been fine, we've got no phone calls, if they ask, we explain it, and no further questions.
I did go to the town council meeting 3 weeks ago and summarized all the reasons why we closed it, because there were comments being made on Facebook. Yes, and then, I did follow up with one of the people on Facebook who originated the post and questioned everything about the East Berlin pool, why it was being closed, blah, blah, blah. And, I contacted her probably 4 or 5 times, that's what I was looking up. We did talk for 10 minutes, of which she, you know, she spoke. I was able to give her a couple of answers, then she had to go somewhere, she's a real estate agent, she had to go somewhere, the client, she would call me back. We traded voicemails, and then she never followed up, so. But I did want to reach out to her so that she had all the information. Okay,
This man, by the way, was on the Berlin bus.
I thought, I recognized that, yeah, that was what you said, yeah. But I can't. Okay, so. That's that, okay, Steve?
Pretty much nothing eventful in the Parks and Grounds Department this month. We caught up on mowing, and, you know, field preparation, pretty much all the spring sports were in full swing, so we got that all taken care of. Any questions on that?
Good job. The fields are good.
Locked up.
Flowers look good too.
Yeah, the flowers look great coming soon.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my little peppers to grow, so.
Well, I'm happy to see they pulled out the plastic ones on the front here.
That's all done by it's all done by one of the employees who works for the Board of Education. Who really has a passion and just likes to keep the front of it decorated the whole entire time.
Okay.
So that's what she does. She does it for all different holidays, Easter, St. Patty's Day. She really does a nice job. We're thankful to have her. Debbie, I think. So you guys can, I'll just go over a couple other things, is we've had a group approach us for Little People's Playground where they want to do a beautification of the front. They want to dig it up, add some plants, add some flowers, do like some small shrubs and that kind of stuff, more like a pollinator garden. And I had the conversation with them with I'm afraid to say yes to any of that when I hear the word pollinator. Anytime we're going to track something that has a flower is going to attract the bee. Then all of a sudden we're gonna have a child with a bee allergy and goes to the anaphylactic shock. Which then the conversation has been somewhat beneficial. They've reached out to a landscape architect who came up with the design. We're scheduled to repave the front of Little People's Playground, add some parking, redesign some things up front of there. So I'm trying to push them off, and sooner or later they're going to come to you. So if you get any scuttlebutt of, hey, listen, I've reached out and they haven't been happy with the response of, we don't know the design, we don't know the layout. You know, we have one walkway we'd like to make more ADA compliant where somebody can go up with a wheelchair into the park. We still have to have an access into it. Trying to figure out what's gonna work best. So as that finally settled down, this nice lady emailed me this picture of the sign that she would like us to have made and put at every playground.
You guys got this?
That's what this is?
That's what this is. And the first one that jumps out of me is 1 in 13 children has a food allergy, and has an allergy. So that goes back to my little people.
We have a sign up there that says no food and drink. Right,
Yeah, I think it's all part of general playground
it's,
rules.
right,
Yep.
it's in, I know it says it, so.
But, you know, we offer picnic tables inside the playgrounds. We offer a place for them to sit. We offer a place for them to dispose of garbage.
Yeah.
So we're welcoming them to come and have a picnic, but then telling them no because there's allergies. Then why do we have tables? We're telling them to play on equipment, hot plastic equipment, then we're telling them no food or drink. So should we remove, so the question becomes, could we remove all tables, benches from inside the playgrounds and move them out? Do we move forward with purchasing signs to put them there with nobody to enforce them? And that kind of is up to you guys as the Park and Rec Commission, which way you want to go, because I'm gonna reach back out to her tomorrow and say, you know, we talked about it, whatever you guys decide.
Yeah, I think it's overreaching. Yeah.
Okay.
Any, you guys have any thoughts?
Is this will be placed right down at the end of the street?
It's all in there. This was.
Is that what it's
all of our-
place right out?
That's
She
right,
wants to put them everywhere.
that is
Everywhere.
one.
That's too much.
So in behind the scenes also, Lou, Steve has put in his budget funds to replace all the playground equipment at Little People's Willard School. On the left-hand side of Willard School as you face the school. He's had a budget. That has been denied up to this point because they don't have the money for the capital. You know, maybe at some point there'll be some surplus monies that they'll give maybe to one of those sites. But that's a project beyond what he was talking about the street access, you know, kind of leveling it out a little bit and also wheelchair access in. But within the grounds would be replacing the equipment.
In Steve's budget, you're not part of the BM.
Nope,
It's Public Works,
I'm
but
on,
his own department.
yeah,
budget.
2545, my own budget, standalone. All right, the next thing is, you guys oversee some of the ponds as well as Paper Goods and Railroad Pond. I went to council the other night and I was afforded to spend up to $25,000 with Water and Wetland. They're coming in to do their first application at Veterans Park. And follow that will be several applications at Railroad Pond and also at Paper Goods. Just giving you guys a heads up. Jen will post it on social media prior to the application. The agreement with Donna Beach is I have to go to every resident along Railroad Pond and Paper Goods Pond that abuts the water, and I have to put a leaflet in their mailbox letting them know that chemicals will be applied.
This is when all the fish died, it moved the surface.
Why do you have to bring up such bad memories?
So
This application.
this is the application, and the fish died from the lack of oxygen that happened in 13 other ponds in the state of Connecticut that year because of the high humidity.
Had nothing to do with that.
Had nothing to do with the application. DEP investigated it. They dug through it. They did water samples. They did everything and had nothing to do with it.
So the application is for what, to kill the algae and stuff?
The application is to kill invasive species. We're targeting mostly the water chestnut. Water chestnut is one of the most invasive water species that usually comes from a duck or a bird or a boater from going from one place to another place and going into it. For every one seed that drops, it forms 7 new seeds. So if you go to Paper Goods Pond now, pretty much right across the street from where Percival Pool is, and you look, you'll see stripes of like a fairway where you'll see green, nothing, green, nothing, green, nothing. When you treat a pond that is covered 70% in water chestnut, you have to do it in segments of a third. You can't kill the whole entire pond because then you'll take the depleted oxygen level and then there'll be no oxygen for the fish, then the fish will die. So that's why it looks the way it is. It'll probably take several years to get everything under control at all of the areas. So I can go on for.
Yeah.
Hey, is it a true statement if you mow, right, when you're mowing, and if you cut a lot of dandelions, that there's that seed could sit there and drop on someone else's place?
Yes. So like when we're mowing with a mower, every field we cut, that's not treated because the state of Connecticut has an IPM program. That if we're mowing Willard and from Willard we go to Dennehy, whatever weeds were at Willard now go to Dennehy. Now we have to pay a company to kill those.
Want to cut your grass?
It's like a pool. Go to the ocean or the sound, and then you jump in your pool,
We asked for
you
one
burn
big
all
tree
that
cut
stuff
this
into
entire
your
year.
pool.
Yes. Did we cut it?
No,
Did we cut it?
we trimmed it. First you told me no.
Oh, that's right. I'm not even.
Here we go. Here we go.
People left fishing these times?
Yep. Fish, kayak. Somebody asked if they can go swimming.
Almost.
Yep. But we've done Veterans Park now, forgot, it's gotta be 7 or 10 years. Ever since I've been in the position, we've always treated veterans. It's just come more to light, with posting everything on social media. So the company is great and fabulous. Any questions on that? All right.
Gonna work on the keys for your boss.
Again, Bob.
All right, please, so.
So the police association is, I believe we brought this to you last year, where there are several events that the police are hosting. They did a flag football at Scalise Field. They used Sage 2 last year for a softball tournament. They're just looking for a police first fireman softball game on Sage 1,
July 29th.
July 20th. That's cool. We're just making sure you guys are okay with it. Want to make sure we'll bring some guys in. Jen was nice enough to volunteer the ground staff. Come.
Not make games.
For overtime to groom and line it, you know, make it nice,
Jen?
bougie and fancy.
Over there.
Yep.
That's
They're
great.
gonna earn
So
their
they're actually,
time.
they're actually gonna play each other?
Yep. Well, that's good. So,
There's no fees associated with it because it's considered a town department.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yep.
just want to give you a heads up,
You
yeah,
guys should
drive
be
it by and
cheerleaders.
you see it.
You guys should have to compete.
And Jen always wants to make sure I follow every rule.
Why don't you guys form a team? Look at that.
I don't need any guys get hurt.
Yeah, true.
I think that's it. You guys have anything else for me?
Discussion of fields, playground tours,
Just,
yeah, I'm sorry.
from last month, vandalism,
Yep,
anything?
nothing. Well, I can't say nothing. We have somebody living at Sage Park, we think, that every once in a while will have a random fire on a field. So we found several areas of fire on Sage Auxiliary. We know that there was a fire the night of the girls' home softball playoff game or senior night. That's kind of the only vandalism we found is a little bit of fire damage here, fire damage there. It's nothing more than probably a fire pit 2x2 in circumference, and that's. So we've been really lucky compared to others.
Well, no, field usage, illegal usage, any problems?
So the only thing we reached out to was I reached out to Dinesh and Hyrule asking if they had any contacts with the cricket people, if it was them, and neither of them said they know anyone playing cricket, so. I've heard from people that the adult soccer league is sometimes playing on fields, but no one knows who they are, so can't address them. Oh, and speaking of fields, Dinesh has rented Sage 2 for the day of his picnic. He rented it for 9 hours. He came in, actually before this meeting, I came over, he came in and paid. I stressed to him that volleyball and cricket will not be allowed on the field. It will be wiffle ball, it will be kickball, it will be cornhole, it will be, you know, anything that comes in our bag, like the frisbee, a couple other things, the football. But no actual volleyball net should be put up and cricket should not be played on it.
I will be the bearer of bad news. Tony had a great idea years ago to put cameras up. And what you catch on these cameras is absolutely amazing. But the amount of times, and when you guys asked me a couple months ago to start driving through some facilities to see what's going on. The amount of reservations for these fields and nobody being on these fields for all day is flabbergasting and amazing. Like I can pull up Scalise Field and watch what goes on there. I can get Sage Auxiliary. There's nobody there.
Nobody ever uses fields.
It's,
But they're reserved.
I pulled in one day to drop my daughters off or something, and here's Berlin Youth Soccer using Sage Auxiliary, and they easily could have been on the turf. And there was nobody on the turf all day.
But to their defense, they didn't have the turf
Somebody had it rented
rent,
out.
somebody had it rented out, so that's why they were put on Sage Auxiliary, and they're not, you know, it's not like it's the president that's there, it's just the team, they're not gonna go on the turf without permission, who knows if they even have a key.
So,
But thank you, I mean, it's
I
very,
see what you.
it's very eye-opening if you guys get a chance when you're out about, just drive around and kind of look what's going on where, I mean.
This is something, Lucas, that we've been trying to get a handle on.
So you're trying to get more people to play? with
No,
fields
we're
or
trying
less?
to, our youth groups have a tendency to, when it comes time for field reservations, to say, we're gonna be on the field from 5:30 to 9 o'clock, Monday to Friday, and 8 AM to 8 PM on Saturday, and 8 AM to 8 PM on Sunday. And they're just filling out these forms, and then I put it in the database, and it's just becoming a habit of doing it at the same time. So we've been reaching out to the youth groups to try to get more accurate times. If you're not really gonna be on from 8 to noon in the morning, tell us. So someone else, if they look to use the field, they can use the field. So it's something we've kind of been battling the last 2 years with our youth groups. We're trying to get under control.
Jen, is there a way that you could send out to the commissions, you know, the use of the fields for the next week, so that if they're driving around, then they know?
I can send the same schedule I send to him every week.
Last time I asked you, told me no.
Yeah,
So I
We
drive
don't- we
around.
don't
with
send
my
it to the
regular
groups.
dog,
I can send it to the commissioners as long as you are not sending it to the groups.
no, we're not sending it to groups. This would be, as you said, you know.
This is not
driving
something
around.
you're gonna share with the rest of Berlin Youth Soccer, Greg.
Yeah.
This is just a commission.
No, no,
vote
what I
standalone.
was, what I was saying is that,
That's fair, that's, right, no one shares it.
Yeah.
This is just
Just to check on it.
use of your personal as a commissioner.
Yep, I sent Steve and I sent Brett, our head custodian, a schedule of all the fields every week on
I think
Thursday.
that would be helpful, yeah. I picked up my.
I mean, you're doing it now at the end of the season, so
That's
it's
what-
be very
yeah,
scarce, so.
it's our last.
But I think it's just summer time.
Yes.
What's going on, so, okay.
I mean, I love, I do it all the time, drive around. But I love seeing the little kids in the little league.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so cool.
The little kids at Smith playing T-ball
Yeah,
is
it's-
fabulous.
And the packed, it's packed.
His T-ball
They were
numbers are
playing
huge
T-ball
this year.
tonight on the way over
Yeah.
in this weather, right?
It's packed. And down at our age group, something.
Oh, yeah. Not the grandkids, though, do soccer, 3 to 5, my granddaughter, do
Where?
very well run.
Yeah.
All right, so state of Connecticut grant, we are mobilizing.
No, we, Donna started on discussion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so on the fields
Sorry.
playground,
Of course.
we talked about bringing commissioners to, you know, if you want to see little peoples, if you haven't seen, you know, things that are high on our agenda that we, you know, want to make sure we're all aware of what's going on. We haven't really done anything with it. We did have a tour of East Berlin pool staff. We had a meeting there. It would be an official meeting. So you need a secretary there or someone to take notes of things. So anyway, that's the one thing that we've done. But if there's other areas, Steve brings up an issue or Jen brings up an issue and we feel we should go, you know, that's what this is on the agenda for. It's going to stay on the agenda. But to that point, we've set a meeting in our October meeting to be a covered school with the discussion of more than the pool, right?
Yes, I finally got confirmation from Board of Ed on Friday of last week that yes, we have that, we have the cafeteria at Hubbard for that October meeting.
Part of our due diligence is to better understand the repairs that are necessary to get that pool operational in good condition, to open it up perhaps at some point in the future, whether it be next year in 2025, depending on if you could get the work done and if the town wanted to spend the money. We talked about having someone, and again, with Steve's help, a firm come in on Zoom or whatever to talk to us about what's required to get that pool operation. So that we have some idea of what's needed and the price estimate to do it. And I'd like to get that set up, either for August or September meeting. But Steve, you know, who that would be, who you would bring in to talk to us, it would have to be someone that's knowledgeable, that.
No, I would call, it would be over Zoom. I believe the company we were talking to is out of Indiana, I was gonna say Indianapolis, yeah. So I'm sure they would be more than willing to come on and talk.
Question. So if I remember, we probably had a meeting the last fall. We talked about putting the liner in. And the time frame to get that done would have been the summer anyway, right? Or something like halfway through the season. So if we, I'm just
from a timetable perspective, I'm wondering if we go down the same route, or if we say, oh yeah, I want to fix it, are we waiting another year?
Yes.
Could be.
Well, I'm just wondering if we do it faster. So, I mean, is it possible that we do it?
And
I mean, we could get the estimates as much as we want, it's depending on the funding too.
I think we need to schedule out all the work that we know and the potential other work. You know, we're losing 5 inches of water, you know, a day or whatever, right? There could be leaks underground. Could be much bigger than what we have an estimate for. But we need to put those down because there are reasons why we're losing all that water beyond, you know, the gutter issue, perhaps.
well, we're losing all the water through the gut.
Yeah.
Through, we know that.
It's all, okay, so it's not under, there's no underground.
It's the
Right, but
Go ahead.
I just think when we ask the vendors to come, we should be extremely mindful. Because they're giving up their time for a huge possibility that they will never get this job. And the reason why they will never get the job is if they bid $125,000. And they have a great package, and the guy comes in and bids $115,000. The guy that bid the $115,000 is the one that's gonna get it because it's cheap. Because we usually go with the lowest bidder, because it's very hard to disqualify the lowest bidder. So by saying that, is this company that we're dealing with could be the highest bidder, and we're asking them, which they've already done graciously, put many man hours into this project.
Doing the pre-work.
Yes.
And then not getting the contract.
Right. So, I mean, I have no problem reaching out to her. She's very nice. I'm sure she wouldn't mind hopping on for 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it is. And if we had to do it during the day, we could have a Zoom meeting during the day as a commission. You know, if she's like, listen, my hours are 7 to 3:30 and she doesn't get paid overtime, I would never want to ask her to come back on her own.
These companies are totally about, municipal pools, different than, let's say, Rizzo.
They're all industrial e-ground. And they offer a lot of different things, like their big thing is adding play elements into the water. Adding different things that make the pool stand out and make you go, wow, instead of just having a pool full of water. And you look at what Waterbury is doing right now, is Waterbury, they got rid of all their swimming wells, all their diving wells, and they actually brought the base of the pool up. So the whole pool is like 4 feet. So it's deep enough where you can jump, but at the same time, it's saving thousands and thousands of dollars a year on chemicals, on water. And that's how they're combating that and making it a usable pool. And by this, not having it as deep, it's warming up the water enough, so it's more usable. So there's so many, I learned that at a conference I just went to, there's so many different things that we can look into for that wow factor, if that's what you're looking for.
Behind the scenes is the usage of that pool. It's gone down. Percival's gone down as well. But Percival is used much more, 3.5 times. To do more than the pool. So the usage is another factor. But we did tell the council that we would look at, you know, provide them with a summary of the repairs that are known with an estimated cost. Because that has to be one option that is at least discussed. And we may decide that's not the option that we would ever recommend, but at least we, you know, have our best estimates in front of us. And then when we meet at Hubbard, either we, you know, if there are people that come to the meeting, and we need to publicize this to make sure that they feel comfortable to come, then hopefully they have ideas, or we get a sense they want the pool, you know, or they have ideas of what else we could do with that area, or we have ideas to do with that area. We've talked about splash pads, whether or not that's the right place is another thing, because that's parking, but that's all part of the discussion. We don't have a lot of parking in that area. So, I do think we need to have, you know, some professional, and Steve, if you have all the facts and you have like a summary write-up or something that at least, you know, we got to put in our files type of thing. And then we kind of go through it with that professional to understand, or, you know, just to say that we've done it. That's what we would do if we're gonna put a pool in. I'd expect the commissioners are gonna be part of the interview process, you know, for someone.
I think we already have a document that's already out with the questions pertaining to that.
Yeah, we did. There was a good summary.
That's the one that we shared. That's the only one to share. We know we're losing the water. We know the deck's falling apart. We know that the bathrooms are inadequate, we know the building is not ADA compliant, we know the pump in the pump house is 20-something years old, we know the sand, like,
So like, see,
it's all,
list of questions, and that was all in there. Just a one-page summary.
That was the bullet points I sent you for
Estimated
council. That's the
dollars.
one
I think
page.
It's gonna be more than the 250, 350. You know, when you put it all together.
but the only way,
Okay.
the way to get the new the only way to get that solidified estimate is to have them come out and do a full
Which there's a cost
inspection.
there.
And they want $3,000 to fly out from Indiana to the pool.
What a drone.
That would be if we're gonna go down that path after October, that would be the next step to have done, to verify it.
Right.
But, yeah, just a one-page summary is what.
I believe there is an account inside the town for design services that we might be able to utilize. For something like this, if you guys are seriously thinking of doing a feasibility study on that pool. I mean. Tony's shaking his head no,
Well, no, I'm not asking for a complete study of feasibility, just a one-page summary of all this.
But your estimated costs are just coming
They're the
from
ones that are going in
CMS.
front of the town council.
but the only way to get a concrete cost is look at the problem we have with Percival. You know, Percival Soccer,
Yeah, right.
a couple of years ago was $200,000.
Right.
When it came back at 343 and we almost fell off our chair because
Right.
we only had budgeted 223.
Right.
Then we went back out to bid and what, a little over four.
Stage one, we paid $9,000 to get a feasibility study to be able to put the funds in capital as a request to fund that field.
Right.
Without that feasibility study, we're just making up
We need
numbers.
somebody to go in there and check every single thing you need checked. You don't want to go to town council and say, I want $250,000 to put a liner in the school without knowing if the wall is gonna cave. So
Without
you-
having
you
a
would-
backup
you
of
would need
where
the
that number
feasibility.
came from.
We would hire a professional to come in and do an analysis, feasible study on exactly what it needed. The same way we did for personal soccer.
And you do that once you decide that's the path that we believe we want to go. We're not there yet, right? So my question, do we have a one-page summary? Do you guys have a one-page?
Is there anything you want to?
Right.
We did, we did the.
You want
board-
anything-
You know it.
No, do
Right.
you want anything different than the one we submitted to you guys a couple months?
For October. We're not gonna do anything for that.
Which was then just put into bullet points for you going to council.
Right.
That's essentially all it is.
All right, do the commissioners feel that you need to talk to any professional, you know, where Tony got this information, yeah, I'm told.
Oh, my brother.
Sorry. Tony, you should
You his
know that,
brother?
right? Where, you know, Steve got this, do you feel you wanna have that discussion at all? And you're all set?
I don't think we do.
Okay, this,
If Steve has the information, I think.
okay, so just a one-page summary.
So the challenge is that by the time we go through all this stuff, the cost is gonna be escalated,
Oh,
right?
sure.
So we're talking 2 years, it's gonna be realistic.
And honestly, you'll know by October. Based on what Jen just said, how many people have come in and even complained about it.
Or talk
Or
about
talk
other things that
about-
they want,
Right.
right?
The present budget that was now adopted, how much capital improvement money was put in there?
So they had it
Anything
broken
related to parks?
Zero,
down.
No.
zero.
Would you
Zero.
expect that to change
Yeah.
anytime soon?
Yes.
I would.
The only thing I expect to change that I believe has to change will be the resurfacing of the high school
Yes.
basketball, tennis courts, because to keep them within warranty, they have to be resurfaced every certain amount of years. Yes.
So that, playgrounds, pools,
I
the
think
stuff's in there every year.
playgrounds, I will tell you that
I think replacing
You
ground
may-
vehicles will be higher on that
We're
list.
gonna start putting it in the trash.
So honestly, you go through this whole thing of getting everything together and a price and a contractor. More than likely, to balance the budget, they're not gonna give us the money.
and that's why they don't do it until they have the money, then they go out and find out, and then they find out it costs more than what they
You
thought.
know, if there's other things that are priority,
They're always gonna prioritize public safety and roads.
I will tell you, there is a slight chance, that we will get some monies, whether it'll be enough, for one of the playgrounds.
Now that they cut the high school courts, I don't know.
I
I
haven't
think that money's gonna
had
be
any
there
updates
first.
the last couple of weeks, but
Basketball
I know
courts?
that.
Yeah, they need to be resurfaced, basketball and
Numbers
tennis,
that have
but they cut
stayed
it.
on the record. Want to do one at least.
That's, I think that's what Sam, I believe that's it, right?
Sal,
Sam.
Sal is the chairman.
That would make
No.
sense.
No, yeah,
Sam's on
George,
board.
George
Yeah,
Clark, someone that spoke up
Yeah.
right away,
There's Rowan.
you know, and so.
So let's take the info that he already has given us, wait till we meet with the residents in October.
Go from there. I will send you the estimate, probably early part of next week for the
Can
full
you
liner.
put- Can you just put me in?
We'll put it on a one page, yes.
Bullets with the dollars,
We'll do this. We'll add it to our list tomorrow. We're gonna spend all morning together.
you know, again, no,
I'll be
I
back.
just want to make sure August, September, we have that. Talk about the others. So, yeah, you know, again, rough ideas, splash pad, you have a rough idea already. If the residents bring that, yes, but we have to consider parking and all that, it's limited areas.
I have to be a negative Nancy, but if we're thinking of putting a splash pad there, we also have to come up with the funding of what it's gonna cost to fill that pool. And then re-plumb everything
Yes.
for the splash pad. Do you want a ballpark figure on that?
That's one pager.
To close the bill, you have ballpark figure.
No, so,
What's the flat? Go ahead.
so what I'm hearing from this is this, is you want a one-page report, but on the one-page report, you want what it costs for a pool line, what it costs for the repair of the deck. Then at the same time, what it would cost to demolish the pool, install a splash pad, and then update the
No,
rent.
no, Steve, all I'm saying, so one page to repair the pool.
Yep.
And the deck, everything that's gonna get that operation, one page cost. Then there are other options, but not necessarily for that, like a splash pad. I think when we discuss it, it's limited, that area is very limited because of the parking. A splash pad that you provide to residents needs parking for people, because it's not a drop off, like drop the kids off at the pool. It's to stay there with the kids, they're, you know, usually younger, maybe some will walk, but, you know, and then we don't have the parking.
We do not.
Right, so, and that's when the residents bring that, if the residents say, I want splash pads. Or I want a splash pad, that, you know, I would feel very comfortable in saying, I appreciate that. We need to find another area in town to do that. But at least we'll have a sense if that's what they want, that we could work towards that. But this area is limited in parking. And, you know, probably not doable. But again, we'd have to look at that later on, that's another option. Not, but you already have, you have an estimate for splash pads. But there's a lot more costs that go around that have to be added wherever you install.
I'm confused stuff. Okay. Pager thing.
Do the one page.
Yeah.
That's-
Double pager.
Do the one page.
Also, we have a elementary school right there. And elementary school has been losing population, right?
Yes, yes,
Does anyone have? Do you think the Board of Ed has a statistical?
Yes, they do, 300 and something. They found out.
Population.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. 280 right now.
Like families that are living there, what their.
So I have
Are-
number of students. What I don't have in for Board of Ed is projections. But we need to ask that question. But historically, it's gone down. I have a graph with the students, it's 280 right now. And the high was when our kids were in school, 2005, 2006. So. They've given up 2 classrooms to the line.
So Steve, how much do you think it will cost to fill it in? Does that be part of the cost and we're just gonna leave it there?
I believe
It's gonna be on the one page.
No,
No, it's not actually, it's just the repair.
Right, it's not.
That won't be on that.
The amount was around 300,000. Again, that's a rough estimate. That's all it is.
Because we don't know.
No.
Right.
Okay, we don't know what we're going to find underneath this. We don't know when they first opened the pool in 1977, what was used for chemicals. So if they start tearing it apart and all of a sudden they get about the pool and they use demolition earth or whatever it was, that is a contaminant. And said that is in the wetlands. All the water that gets pumped out of that pool needs to go into a vac truck and be washed and be cleaned. Like, This process is enormous.
Don't fill it in, make it a skate park.
I agree.
That's my.
I'm just gonna sign on here and say.
Parking works for that. Parking works for that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what you could make the pool out of it, skate. Absolutely.
Okay, can we move on? Right, State of Connecticut grant update. Lucas, that is the Jumbotron that was recently put at Scalise, is part of a State of Connecticut deep grant that Joe Arsimowitz got us. The other half of that project is starting on Monday. We are mobilizing at Viscoglio Field at Berlin High School, behind the high school, the field inside the track. We are upgrading it to aesthetic turf surface. And they are mobilizing on Monday. So it will be closed to the public. That will be posted on the town Facebook page. And things are going well there.
The second one was what, the bigger surface?
We are converting the field to turf behind the high school,
Track,
Within the track.
inside the track,
inside the track.
inside and outside.
It's gonna be used by local.
Inside.
So construction will start Monday. We had a great meeting on Tuesday morning with representation from the high school athletics, the high school band, Berlin Youth Football, and Berlin Youth Soccer. We had a great meeting to talk about, with main fields being offline this fall, field scheduling was gonna be horrendous. Instead of having people just send me forms and me trying to figure it out, we needed to work as a group. We worked as a group. Everyone walked away with something that they're willing to work with in this fall season, and communication is ongoing, so we're gonna be in a good place, I think.
Excellent. Excellent.
Question, is graduation gonna be at Sage?
They do not.
We are deciding at noon tomorrow.
And if it is gonna be there, are they gonna use the new scoreboard to be able to project the graduates?
The curriculum package has not been implemented.
Maybe next year.
The curriculum package has not been implemented yet for the borough, for the BOE.
No,
That's gonna start this summer
Has to
and then it'll go.
accept it, and then, yeah,
that's a
I think
shame.
Nick's going through it. so that you can
That's
read
really a
it to
shame,
school.
because that would have been so cool for the
My
parents.
daughter graduates tomorrow. There.
Oh,
Maybe there. See how the air quality is.
well, it's all about your quality.
I can tell you, the chairs are there, the
Rain.
stage is up, everything is ready to go.
But,
How was the,
but you won't be able to use I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
you won't be able to use the scoreboard. though, right?
At this point, the Board of Ed has to pay for the curriculum, which I believe is $30,000. Then there's a gentleman at the high school that already does a lot of the audiovisual stuff. He needs to be trained in it. And then they're bringing it into the fall school system schedule to teach students how to do it. So it's a whole process. It's not just go up there and.
That guy who you were talking about is Nick Smith.
Yeah.
Is Literally amazing.
Nick is amazing.
Really, really is.
Yeah.
He's awesome with the kids and,
And I think he's gonna look at it this summer to kind of learn it before he can teach it, kind of thing.
Exciting.
The AV club, I never heard that before.
Just going back, are we in support of the ALS walk? And tell them they have our support? Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to circle back, that's all.
I had a question.
How was the support at the soccer field at Sage to not use the one post, one goal, move it down the other end, start moving things around?
The camera that shoots on the south pole has not changed anything. If you go up there and take a look at it, that is just completely.
I did look at it. And so, but
I have a company coming in. Now, the 19th, we're closing Sage for a week to do some deep compaction. They're gonna take these bed knives, they're gonna put them into the ground like 9 inches. So right now, if you went out there with a screwdriver and tried to put the screwdriver in the ground, it would not go.
Yeah.
It's being overused. That's going to loosen that up. I ordered some grass seed that should be here next week, and then we will start a heavy overseeding process throughout the whole entire summer into the fall to try to get grass sustainably to grow there. To try to be able to handle the amount of abuse that field is going to take.
So to Steve's point, we put corner flags in, I sent the kids out there to try to get them out, they couldn't get them. I mean, it's almost like it's thick clay, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question. Do we know who's doing it?
I would feel comfortable saying that all groups that utilize that field do the same.
All,
I would not discriminate against them.
okay, so we talked here about the fact that if we found that people were misusing what the fields were, that we would have a meeting with them and we would go back and penalize. Did we not say that as a commission?
yes, we did.
So why are we not doing it? Why are you paying for that?
Because I think the memo came out so late in the season that most of the damage was already.
I think maybe it's a revisit with these groups in our August meeting before the fall season starts.
They just use one goal instead of the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going out and they just don't want to walk the length of the field. It's been a problem for years. This is not anything.
No, I understand it, but
The most kind, oh, sorry. No, the most kindest, nicest group is the group that's not supposed to be playing soccer there. They use the north goal and they play east to west.
The adult group that we don't know who it is.
That is the nicest group out there. The group that's not supposed to be playing,
so,
carries the 12 foot goals down to the other end. plays east to west.
so. Here's the thought, right? Here's the thought. You know who the commissions are. I mean, you know who the parties are. Do we know who their president is of each league? An email should go out to them explaining the fact that it's not being taken care of. We've asked for it, and the fact of the matter is that starting next year, if this continues, you will be paying for that. It shouldn't come out of his budget.
Agree, however, we would have to find a way to put that into a fee schedule or get it approved by council that we're going to start charging youth groups for something. That's the only thing. I can't just hand them a bill and ask them to pay.
I didn't say you do, but I think we should.
Next meeting, let's
We
put
should-
together
we
a
should-
schedule.
Well, I'm just saying, we should make them aware that they are damaging the field. If they haven't been made.
I mean, maybe we just say, if we find that you're damaging and we've gone to you and we've had the conversation with you, maybe we charge them what the field fees would be. I don't
Something,
know.
Or fine,
or
fine.
find something.
So why
I
don't
mean,
we,
We'd have to create something and get it approved by council as a new fee.
so why don't we put something for our next meeting together? Call it fine. Fine is for damaging the fields. That, we talked about it. If we couldn't follow through, we should never have pressed it,
That's
right?
right, we talked.
So let's put something together. $500. I'm just throwing that out. It's probably nowhere near the cost.
I'm just,
Yes,
so I'm on the field. So how are you gonna know who did what, when, where? It's not like somebody dug a hole at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and Steve goes out there and finds it, right? It's almost like enforcing the leash law.
Right.
Or same thing,
That's a good
okay?
point.
I don't know how you, I'm just speaking practically, right? I mean,
Yes, we can see on the cameras what groups are there, but if, I don't know, I mean. I lost my train of thought.
It's over time, but it's not one specific, it's everybody. Contributing.
No, but
I mean, is it this youth soccer?
But all
right?
you soccer,
All
people,
you-
you stop doing it, that's what you gotta do.
And you put out an email,
Yeah,
I saw.
And I put out an email to the high school youth soccer and youth lacrosse.
And then none of that, it didn't change at all.
I sent it out, what, 3 weeks ago?
because the problem is,
I don't watch the
nobody
games.
is going to carry a 70 or 80 pound lacrosse goal 300 feet from the south side to the north side because there are no goals there. So if you look and go up there tomorrow and look where the crease would be for a men's lacrosse, you'll see a pattern like this. And it's not uniform.
Is there a way that you could put orange fencing around it, stake it in the ground and not?
soccer.
So we don't know.
Sorry?
That's something we're gonna bring to you guys next year is
Closing.
we are going to ask to close Sage Auxiliary, and Jen and I have not talked about this yet, is we're gonna look to close Sage Auxiliary at the end of. What would it be, school, say the end of school, to try to start repairs on it. We're gonna reach out to a company, the
Father's Day week.
Father's Day weekend, we have a company coming next week. And at that time, Champion Sports, I will ask them to put a price together, what it would cost to replace the whole crease of the south end of the field. At the same time, I'm going to ask you as pitch care and sports care specialties to give us an estimate of what it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
We are gonna put so much use on that field this fall that it's going to destroy it. And we have no choice.
So. What I don't
And
understand,
are we overbooking people on that field? Like, should we stop booking as many groups on that field and then?
Honestly, yes. I mean, I've said it for years. I mean, the amount of monies we take in for people utilizing our fields is not worth renting our fields. And I think you see more and more towns going to.
But Sage Auxiliary is not necessarily one we rent a lot, maybe a week by CFC for camp and that's it. The rest is the youth. group
Right,
and
it's
the high
more
school
the youth
JV.
groups, right?
But CFC is charging $200 a kid for 200 kids and making. hoop
Right,
and
but I'm
puck.
just saying, they're 12 hours in 1 week of the entire year. That's all they're renting it
But
this
it's,
year.
but
The
it's,
damage is being done by the everyday use of youth soccer and youth
Right.
lacrosse.
Not agreeing.
What?
what he's saying is that the cost of the field, the price to rent it for that, for what they're getting for it is minimal, right? But I mean, we should be getting more money, is what he's saying.
It's gonna cost us $2,500 to DT compaction the field and ag grass it at $175 a bag.
See, what frustrates the hell out of me here, and I'm looking right at you, right? Because you're the representative for soccer. Okay? It seems like you can get away with anything you want to do. Anything with football related, we get our butt chewed out for everything.
Yes.
And from the high school, from here, everything else, and we have to comply, and I'm saying we because I'm an assistant, I'm a volunteer on that. But it seems like you can get away with anything.
Who's getting away with it?
That whole process is because of soccer.
No,
And
it's
lacrosse.
because of lacrosse.
Okay,
It's not
If you
one
listen,
group.
go
And it's-
walk in Scalise and look at what he's
And
talking
it's
about.
JV lacrosse.
There's a speed about 20 feet apart where their goal is, it's just totally torn up.
so is the most of the play soccer or is it lacrosse?
In the spring, it's soccer, lacrosse, plus JV lacrosse, boys and girls for the high school.
So why are we letting them get away with it? I just don't understand. No, I'm being very serious about it. Because we get blamed for everything in football, everything. Everything. And it seems like you guys in lacrosse can do anything you want. I didn't even know it was lacrosse, but I'm saying, for football, we get blamed for everything.
We limit.
And I'm on this commission to represent everybody, not
I
just football.
understand. Listen, I'm not aware of football being, I'm not aware of any of that stuff, so.
Here's,
I'm aware that I know that every time something is wrong with the field, that I have 42 emails from people of how deplorable and unsafe the field is. When the field wouldn't be unsafe if it was used properly. Like. And I expressed my displeasure a lot of times over this, is I agree with Don. I don't think everybody's treated fairly. I think you throw
But
the responsibility of the department into a fishbowl where every single thing that's not done right every single day, because most people don't understand the amount that's thrown on a 10 department, a 10 employee department. And you throw vacation times, inclement weather, you throw everything into that, is how much is really expected of someone. If somebody goes out to walk at Kensington Orchards and that trail is not mowed, or the guy who likes to go running, if the bicentennial isn't mowed or Cross Creek isn't mowed, now he wants to know why that's not mowed. We have a environmental group who wants to do a field trip with the state of Connecticut, come down and look at some grasses that grow. Well, now that grasses that grew all year long, it's gonna take my guys 8 hours to clean 500 feet that's 6 feet tall. Because somebody wanted to post something. So now that's going to take away from field preparation.
And Steve, as the Parks and Grounds Department, doesn't have the authority to just hand Berlin Youth Soccer a bill for 2,500 and say, hey, I had to pick.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, but we said something to the committees when they were here. We said that ultimately there would be some consequences. Here we are talking about this with no consequences. That's all I'm
The
saying.
damage was done prior to.
Okay, I get it, but next year we have to figure out what we're gonna do, because it's not fair to you. And I'm on your side right now, because why are you spending the money?
Like,
When people just don't listen.
we have to put a sign up at Zipadelli outside the third base dugout. Because they stand in the same spot and here's another bare spot. So I'm gonna put a sign up there that says, do not stand here.
There you go,
So.
another sign.
That they don't read.
Then we have a spot just outside of walking into the right-hand batter's box. Okay, that I'm gonna have to put another sign. Because it's the same two areas getting killed. Because God forbid they move. We've had multiple conversations with the athletic department. Because they're not putting out the mats. And there's now a dead spot starting to grow. Just take a ride to Beretta. It's a perfect example. It's just. It's great that our fields are being used, but we say yes to everybody under the sun, where every other town is starting to go different ways of saying.
Sorry about getting on the line.
There. If we hold one group responsible and not the other groups, we need to be fair to all groups, right? And you guys know better how to manage that. Greg, I don't know if all the commissioners saw it. Greg did put out an email that I saw, and I thought it was well written. And he told them, we need to do our part, we need to move east to west, blah, blah, blah. Did they do that? Do we know they did that? If they did.
I know the goal has been moved to an area where there was grass. So they took the goal where there was no grass and moved it to a place that is grass.
But
Now in front of the place that has new grass, it's starting to get no grass.
Okay, so that's the use.
Kicking the can down the.
But we also have the improper moving of goals, where that email came out, where a brand new $3,500 set of goals now has a crack in the upper right-hand corner, if you're looking at it, for improper moving.
So
Because we just drag them and push them against the ground.
where was that?
South end zone, south goal of St. Joseph. It's not, we're not
We
pointing,
don't know who did it. but
Right. so now we're looking at, I
We have
think
no,
it's.
yeah, we have no proof of anything. It could have been a high school team
So
that.
now I
put it
understand.
on,
It is
goal
part
out,
of-
give it soccer.
A lot of this
Part of it
seems
is
to be part of field.
Right, exactly. Like, you know, have cameras that see. part of the
I will
field.
put
We're
up-
not out there every single time a group is using the field to say, you're doing that wrong.
Right.
It's the same reason we can't catch the cricket people, and we can't catch the adult soccer people.
We could if we patrolled.
But next year,
Yeah.
if you have recommendations that you feel you wanna make about usage. Then you
To
gotta-
limit
you
it.
Gotta deliver it and let us.
And that means the youth groups are gonna have to find another place if there is another place. So that the
It's not,
usage,
it's not just youth group, I don't wanna blame youth groups.
Yeah.
Youth groups should be able to utilize.
in high school.
So do we just?
High school.
Period. Say no to non-locals or say no to all the for-profit groups? That's, I mean, that's something you and I
I
have.
don't
to
have
talk
the
about.
answer now, just.
It's also a revenue question.
I will say,
Yeah.
Right, and how much,
Exactly.
and how much are we really making? Compared to what we're spending. to
So we did do something different this year that now all the field fees that are being paid, we're gonna be able to use it back towards the fields or whatever. So that is, you know, it is a question of, do we
Right.
wanna lose that money?
and again, I will put money up for the Berlin fields. Steve, you and your staff do a fabulous job for all of our fields. And any BS about safety, if there's a safety issue, maybe all the commissioners should be notified about it, so we understand what people are saying. Right? I think, and we need to take the heat off of you and your staff.
I
And
feel like you're.
I'm willing to see it. I wanna see who's complaining.
Oh, I've gotten a lot of grief, a lot.
From the
Right, and I
public,
wanna
from
understand
public,
that.
Not from whatever bosses, right?
From town bosses, no,
Yes,
the
no.
boss of it,
But it's people that, you know,
there's people who don't, there's.
And I can say this, and I will say, his staff is feeling the pressure. Because I talked to them. And what they're saying is that we just can't keep up with everything we gotta
you know,
do.
This is the.
They're getting frustrated,
Right.
and it's not because of Steve's leadership, it's because it's just what it is, right?
And it's not the only department in town
No,
dealing with something like that. We have many departments that are understaffed that are being pulled in so many different directions.
He's short staffed.
Right, no,
And so they're trying to do this, like, well, how, with it mowing the field, see, what were they getting back, like, I was coming down, Lower Lane, they were driving back like at 4:30, right, and they're starting to work at 7:00.
earlier.
6:15.
No, this is no different than what the police chief told us, right? This is why people are leaving Berlin to go to another town because they're gonna get the pension, right? We're gonna start losing people here because someone's
He is
gonna get
losing.
frustrated, right? Because they're gonna get frustrated, they're gonna go somewhere else. They're probably gonna go to another town, they're gonna get paid better, and they're not gonna be stressed out.
sometimes things can be overreach. And we as commissioners have a role to play to support these people in our youth groups, in our whatever groups we're involved in. And we know we have the best.
I do, I talk to your stuff all the
They
time.
are
And
They are amazing.
I always thank them every time I see them. And I'm sorry that I
No,
got on your.
No, it's fine. So to that point, when I was leaving the other day, the guys are doing flowers out front, they're sitting down there weeding. One of them was talking about flowers. I told them, well done, you guys doing a great job, you know? Because people don't get it, the town employees particularly don't get enough of that, right?
Exactly.
Even the police, I mean, they don't get enough.
All right,
Okay,
good conversation, though.
Should I
but
say?
if we can be constructive, if there's something that you need us to do, that's what we want to do.
Awesome.
Okay?
I just want to bring one thing, you were talking about bees or something. So last Wednesday night, a lot of kids, Nutmeg was out there and like 4 or 5 kids got bee stings. I think part of they were on the white bleachers.
At Sage Auxiliary.
Sage Auxiliary.
Tom Chudry stopped in and saw us last week, told us about it, we went out the next morning and sprayed it.
So,
I make a motion to
Oh,
adjourn.
wait,
Oh,
any dog bites? Or?
Ah,
Yes,
I don't know off the
I do.
top. There have been some, yes, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my
my
head.
wife got bit. And they
Yeah.
got.
Grace White was in the hospital for 3 days.
Are you serious? Real? On these dog?
Can we
Well, no,
adjourn
it
and talk
was
about that
like-
after? Because it's nothing to do with Parks and Rec.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.